Business Growth Talks podcast is created and hosted by Mark Hayward. In this show, we talk about how to grow a business in the growth stage. The growth stage is often marked by rapid developments, increased revenue, and an escalating customer base. In each episode, we talk to entrepreneurs and business owners who have grown businesses, and we cover topics like scaling processes, market expansion, financial management, human resource and talent development, and customer retention. If you are looking for actionable advice, tips, and techniques on how to grow, run and build your business, this is the podcast for you.
Welcome everyone to Business Growth Talks. Today we are going to do a different episode. I've just come off the back of my 500th episode recording that was in London on the 17th of May. And this is going to be a very free-flowing, unscripted conversation with you guys about the show and lessons learned, things that I might have done differently. So if you are enjoying this content, please do give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button. You can then be able to be part of this community and you'll get every episode that comes to you. So it is now Sunday and we are now thinking about, or I'm now thinking about the show, what went well, what didn't go well, what lessons learned. And as I say, this is completely unscripted. I've just hit record and we'll see where this conversation goes, where I muse about what went well. So first things first, it was one of the most challenging, difficult, but most rewarding things I've ever done. I pretty much did all the arranging, the logistics, the sponsors, and getting everyone involved in the event. That was because the budget that I had wouldn't extend to have an event planner. Now, would that event planner made a huge difference to the show? Probably not to the show, but it would have made a lot of difference to the build-up and the marketing that I needed to do, as well as the arranging. And I'm just going to break down some of the things that I was arranging, just so if anyone else is thinking about doing their own live event, they can learn from what I learned. So I needed to arrange sponsors. I needed to find a venue. The sponsors were guests. We had to think about what they were going to talk about. We had to think about, the venue was a massive thing. I was blessed to have found the Riverside Studios in Hammersmith. Beautiful building, old BBC studios turned into, they actually had Eddie Izzard on doing Hamlet, and we actually all saw him, and one of my friends did a selfie with him. I didn't feel it was right to bother him before his show, but my friend did, and it was quite humorous that he did anyway. But it was a great event. It was a great venue. Absolutely loved it. Theatre style, which is what I wanted. It felt like the audience were part of the show and were involved and engaged, and that was fantastic. But it did come with a cost. It was quite a bit more expensive than some of the other venues that I looked at. I managed to get a discount, which thank you Riverside Studios for doing that. But I wouldn't have changed that. I wouldn't have actually changed the venue. I thought it was a great venue. But you have to arrange with them what time you're going to go in there, what you're doing, the build up, the chairs, the coffee table, the stage. Like I'll talk about Kieran in a minute about the lighting and the PA system, but I had to go a couple of times to make sure that everything was in place. Then we arranged the things. We got 2 televisions that would be able to show videos and the start video as well as for every guest. So there was a lot to do there. Some of my guests wanted to come and have a look at it to get an idea what the night was going to be like, which was cool, which was fine. But there was a lot of back and forth with them. Some technical things like having the right splitters to go to each television screen and making sure the wiring was all connected, HDMI cable. Like, if I hear anything more about an HDMI cable, I'll probably scream. But that was quite a lot of arranging. And then you have to, so the next step that I wanted after that was get some really great guests. All of my guests were fantastic. I was so lucky to have them. But part of the arranging, the organising of getting them in, I needed their sponsorship to be able to pay for the venue and pay for the other things. So we had to talk about that and have that as a frank and honest conversation. And all of the guests were very happy to be part of the event and as well pay for, is in essence pretty much the venue. And I know I'm going to forget things, but you then have to then arrange microphones and make sure you got all of them, the cameras, the like my friend Kieran, who did the PA system, brought everything he owned on the day because he wasn't sure what cables he'd need. And Kieran was an absolute godsend. I couldn't have done it without him, not just on the practical side, but very much on the creative side as well. So going on the creative side, I then had to think about scripts, an intro script. I then had to think about questions for all of our guests that made sense, that were relevant, were interesting, and then backup questions just in case it all goes a little bit wrong. So we had to have them, all of them. And actually, probably that was something that I started quite late on and tinkered with in the last week, but it was definitely part of the headspace of being able to do it. So as I say, like the equipment we needed to make sure we had everything for. I ended up buying, this is a 360 camera. If you want audio, I'm sorry. This is a 360 camera we put at the front of the stage. Purchasing that, testing that, making sure that it worked. I knew what I was doing with it. Memory cards, USB labels, batteries. Goes on and on, the things you have to think about. And we haven't even started talking about attendees. I've done so much promotion, self-promotion of my guests. People who have contributed, Paul Kirsch, big shout out to Paul Kirsch from Boss Academy. He created my videos for me. Printers, I don't know if I've got, I haven't got one here, but printing, needed to get printing, a program for absolutely everyone. So as I say, it's just layer upon layer. But the marketing to get people to attend was very intense. Now I'm very happy and can do LinkedIn content, YouTube content, podcast content, but the barrage, it felt like a barrage. The constant pushing the event. This is happening at this place, and they're now saying in marketing it used to be like 7 touch points and people would buy. I think that has definitely gone up 12, 15, I would imagine, because people are bombarded with all this information from social media, all the different social medias you do. You've got television, you've got radio, you've got billboards, you've got magazines, newspapers. You're constantly barraged by advertising. So pretty much the last 2 weeks, if not 3 weeks, most days I was promoting the event in a different way. And that takes time as well. You have to think about different types of content, about people involved, thanking people, promoting people, connecting people. And so that was very intense for me. Like, I don't mind promoting myself to an extent, but it felt very, I had to put myself outside my comfort zone, that every single day I was putting out posts. TikTok, not every day on LinkedIn. TikTok, I was putting some posts, in Instagram, Facebook as well. You have to set up the ticketing site, which actually got done quite quickly, but very little market or no marketing by the company at all. I knew that when I was doing the service, but that didn't help that I wasn't getting people that were coming into that site. It is a lot to be able to do that. Would I like a person to come in and be an event manager? Yes. If next time, would I do it? Maybe, if I could get a good price on someone to take over some of the organization, some of the marketing. So it definitely was something that was constant in my brain. As I said, this last year, so we're now recording this on May 19th, I pretty much decided I was going to do it on Jan 2nd. Unfortunately for me, the way I work is that I was doing things as I went along. I didn't just leave it till the last minute. You have to buy a new suit, get a t-shirt. I got a nice logo on my t-shirt with my site, with my logo. And I'm not even thinking of also the reaching out to audience members. You have to message people on WhatsApp. You're not just relying on social media. Reaching out to people saying, yeah, I'll come. And then they haven't bought a ticket. I think on the day, on this Friday, where the day was going, I think I sold another 5 tickets. And just to be full transparent about this, I probably ended up with about 55 people. I wanted 100. Let's just be honest. Like, I don't want anyone to hear something else and me promote saying 555 was great. 55 was very good. I was very happy. Wanted 100, didn't quite reach that. But the thing is, you are then constantly, and this was another thing that made me feel uncomfortable, reaching out to people, constantly talking to people, saying the event's going, would you like to come? Like, you haven't bought a ticket, this is what's happening. Recording videos for them on WhatsApp to promote that. Reaching out to people that I haven't heard for 2 or 3 years, maybe even more, 4 or 5 years. It really was an incredibly intense experience. So there's a lot to go around there. And if you're ever to do it again, if I'm ever to do it again, would an event planner help? Yes. Would the budget make it allowable? We'll wait and see. So let's just talk about the night. So one of the things that I thought to myself was, I'm not gonna worry too much about the night until we're closer to it. There were so many things, as I've just described, and I've probably forgotten things. Oh, a banner stand. I got that in the last couple of days, printed up and got to me. So on the day, turn up at 9 a.m. with Kieran. We're setting everything up. Lighting has to be changed because we've got a different stage to previously. Had to test all the microphones, make sure they work. Backup microphones with a lav mic. Making sure all the cameras had all batteries, enough batteries. I think we did mess up a little bit with some of the things, but it was probably my fault, not my Usher support. And so I wasn't really thinking. I prepared the scripts and the questions, but I wasn't really worrying about it. I decided that there was too much going on to worry about it, which was, in a way, I got myself busy and I didn't like frantically worry about it. But 2 days before, I had to tweak the thing. Oh, just one of my guests fell over, banged her head on the radiator in A&E the day before the event. What can you do? I found a backup, someone who could fill in. Fortunately, she turned up. The magician that was supposed to be on the night, a magician had to cancel. His wife hurt her shoulder, was in A&E, so couldn't turn up. So all these sort of unknowns on the day and the day before that you just have to roll with. And so once we'd set up everything, I went over my notes, took out that the magician was coming, or played on the fact that he wasn't coming. And it was all really having to find myself headspace to get ready for the show. And I probably did that too late. I didn't change. The band started at 7. I was probably 10 to 7, had just got changed, looking over my notes for the last time. But as I say, when I got upstage doing the first intro, nervous as hell, started the script. What I loved about what I did, and I felt that I did very well, was I didn't just read from the script. I ad-libbed and embellished and changed it slightly, which made it feel, to me, natural rather than reading a script, which I was proud of myself that I was able to do that. First intro went really well. People laughed at my jokes. People were excited. First guest comes on. She was great. Second guest, brilliant. Half time, I'm now in the headspace. I'm now like, I'm not worrying about anything else. Whatever happens, I've got to get this show done. Came on, my friend did a speech, went really well. Last guest turns up in the interval because he's been doing a show, a day event himself, turns up and smashes it out of the park. All of my guests were tremendous. So good, so insightful, very, like, really good rapport. And I knew I knew most of them very well. I knew one of them quite well. And then it's the outro. You're doing the closing comments, and it ended. And adrenaline was still pulsing through my veins. Had a couple of drinks, tried to calm myself down. In the evening, when I tried to go to bed, couldn't get to bed until 4 o'clock in the morning. So then went to a rugby match with my wife the next day, and now we're on the Sunday and everything's calming down a little bit. So lessons learned. So it's really interesting that I do this, because was it a good experience? Yes. Was it a challenging experience? God, yes. So much, so bad. I was expecting it to be a lot, but even though I was prepared for it a lot, it still was an incredible amount that I wasn't prepared for. But enjoyed it. Might do it again. Might. Didn't put me off completely because I enjoyed actually the stage show. Actually really enjoyed it in the end. So I'm gonna take a little bit of time. Nothing's gonna be planned for anything at the moment. We're just gonna take a break, get back into my usual. Next week I'll be at the London podcast show. If anyone is there that's listening to this or watching this, you want to say hi, by all means come and say hello to me to the London pod show. George is going to be there, my business partner for my booking agency as well. So really looking forward to seeing him. Going to see him tomorrow. He lands today. So I think from an experience, it was incredibly good. I enjoyed it. It was hard as hell, but very rewarding. Would I advise other people to do it? Yeah, I would. I think it would be, if you feel confident enough to be able to do that, I think it's definitely something you should consider. I might do it next year. I don't know. It was celebrating my 500th episode, so there was something very special about it, but it hasn't completely put me off from doing it. Yeah, that's my unscripted, raw assessment of the whole experience. And I feel very lucky and very humble. Like, people appreciated it after the event. People were saying nice things about the show. We had a drink in the bar, which was very nice. And you know what? We'll see. TBC, to be confirmed whether I ever do it again, and in what capacity that would be. But just lastly, big thanks to everyone who's involved. I'm not going to go through everyone because I'll probably forget people, but you look on social media, I've put in people's involvement, and just a massive thanks to everyone that's been part of this event that I run a couple of days ago. It was hard as hell, but so rewarding and so enjoyable. So that's it from the show. It has been a bit longer than I thought it was going to be, but I thought it was worth explaining it to you about an event, but equally just reflect from my point of view on what the event meant to me. It was very humbling. It was very hard and very enjoyable. And just a big thanks to everyone who made it happen. Look, if this is a very special, unusual event, but if you did enjoy that, please do give it a thumbs up. Please do hit the subscribe button if you are enjoying this content. We'll be back later on this week or next week on the usual interview and solo episode that will be part of the show as it goes forward. And if you're looking for the video and the audio of the event, it'll probably be in a couple of weeks' time. I haven't quite got to 500 episodes on my ticker, and it will take a little while to bring in. I think we ended up having 6 cameras and 6 microphones, so it's going to take a lot to bring it all together, but do keep an eye out for it. Audio and video of the event. Once it ticks over to 500 episodes, I will get that out. And hopefully you guys who weren't able to make it, just a big shout out to people in the Boss Academy who gave me such huge support on promoting posts, liking, reposting, all the support they gave me, all the encouragement. Thank you to all of them, and hopefully you enjoy these when they come out in a few weeks' time. The episodes with the interviews, the talks, that will all be on podcast apps as well as to YouTube. So thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for your time. Have a lovely day, and on to the next one.
Thank you for listening to Business Growth Talks. This podcast is released every Monday, so don't miss an episode by subscribing to all podcast platforms, including Apple and Spotify. Have a great day.